I spent this morning building a tool to do something that stopped being possible 9 months ago. The advice is still out there everywhere, though. Read your competitors' bad reviews, find out what customers are anxious about, then seed your own Google Business Profile Q&A with those questions and answer them before anyone asks. In other words, control the conversation. I built the whole pipeline, pulled the reviews, clustered the complaints, generated the questions and answers, and then I went to verify the mechanics before publishing, which I always do, and I found out that Google had killed the feature. Now, this isn't the first time Google has quietly killed a feature or rolled out a new one without much announcement. A lot of these changes never get officially announced at all. You find out about them from industry publications or from somebody posting a screenshot on a forum. And in our busy lives, well, we're all a little behind on some of it. One note before we go further. Everything here is a snapshot of where things stand today. This is a rollout in progress. It's clearly still moving, and if you're watching this months from now, check for yourself. The business names and any data reports are changed as always, but the data and the rankings are real. So let's get to it. Here's a timeline of the events in question. In September 2025, Google announces that it's discontinuing the Business Profile Q&A API, saying it's updating the Q&A functionality and user experience. On November 3rd, 2025, the API is officially retired. No more reading or posting Q&A programmatically. On December 3rd, the public Q&A section starts disappearing from listings, and new profiles are created without it. On March 12th, 2026, Google announces what replaces it. Ask Maps. Google's own explanation from that December update is, instead of scrolling through existing FAQs or waiting for a response, customers can ask their question directly in Google Maps and get an instant answer based on your answers and relevant reviews. So the old model was straightforward. A customer asks a question, you write the answer, that answer sits on your profile permanently. The new model is different. A customer asks a question and Google's AI writes the answer, pulling from your profile, your reviews, and your website. So you don't write the answer anymore. You influence what the AI reads. This one was genuinely easy to miss, and there are 4 reasons, some of which may apply to you as well. The update rolled out exclusively in the Google Maps app. Plenty of us are Apple Maps users on our phones and may only use Google Maps when we're on the web in the mobile browser. It's not in the mobile web interface yet, which is where many of us are actually looking when we're checking a profile. Google's announcement in March wasn't especially clear about what was changing where. It didn't explicitly say that this was only in the Maps app. And really, there's no changelog for many of these updates. Google doesn't publish one for local interface changes, that I know of at least. The industry finds out when somebody notices it and posts about it. Here's what that looks like in practice. On the left side is my iPhone in Safari on a Google Maps listing in the search results. No Q&A section, no Ask Maps, nothing. That whole surface is just gone. Install the Google Maps app, and there it is, an Ask button sitting right in the action bar on the listing. That's the middle shot. You can see the Post button there as well on the right. Here's what's important about the replacement, because it represents a real shift in control. Ask Maps pulls its answers from a few different places. The first is your Google Business Profile. Descriptions, services, attributes, hours, photos, posts. Second, your reviews on Google and on other sites. And third, your website, service pages, FAQs, contact information. And when it can't find something in any of those, it goes out to third-party sources. It does show its sources underneath the answer, so you can at least see where it's pulling from. But 2 things really follow from this. First, if you have a thin profile, it's very likely the Ask Maps AI will give a thin answer. Whatever's missing from your profile gets filled in from somewhere you control less, and that could be downright incorrect. Second, and this is the part I'd want to know if it were my business, there's currently no way to correct or report an inaccurate Ask Maps response. You can't edit it. The only fix is improving the data it's drawing from. It also doesn't show up everywhere. Reporting from Mike Blumenthal found Ask Maps missing for healthcare providers, counseling services, and regulated categories like cannabis dispensaries, and for spam-prone categories like locksmiths, garage door companies, and movers. It's worth checking out whether it applies for your category at all, as I haven't verified all of these myself. There's one thing that's worth clearing up, because the old worry about Q&A was that anyone could answer a question about your business. That specific problem is gone, but visitors can still put public commentary on your listing. It just looks different now. If you tap the post button on a listing in the app, you get exactly two choices: rate and review or add photos and videos. The second one lets you attach a caption to a photo. Here's a real one on the right for a popular restaurant in Monterey, California. A customer's photo with commentary underneath it about the food and service. The By Owner tab lets an owner create posts, which we'll discuss in a moment. So it's more restrictive than the old Q&A was. You can't post plain text that reads like a factual answer about the business. It has to come as a review or as a caption attached to a photo, and it lives in a tab that most people never even open. The other half of this is posts, and that functionality is still alive. So I checked who's actually using it. 34 electricians in this market, 28 of them have nothing showing. That's 82%. There's a number I've seen floating around out there that says Google posts expire after about 7 days. For some reason, you'll find it in guides published even this year, but that's incorrect. Google officially specifies that posts older than 6 months are archived unless a date range is set. And in my own data, one business in this market still has a post visible from 152 days ago. That's over 5 months. That matters for what we're looking at because it makes the 82% mean something stronger. This isn't a case of posts aging out after a week and profiles looking temporarily empty. 4 out of 5 profiles in this market have had nothing on them for months, if ever. 3 businesses posted within the last week, and only one of them posts like it really matters, with a steady cadence, on topic, and actual local towns named in the copy. That business is also ranked number 1 in this market. And I want to be careful about making too much out of that because it's one data point and it really proves nothing on its own. That same business has the deepest photo album here, hundreds of reviews, and a perfect rating. Meanwhile, the businesses ranked 2nd and 3rd don't post consistently at all. I've never seen anyone make a serious claim that posts matter for rankings, and my own data here doesn't support that either. This is the same thing that happens with business blogs. Almost all of them end up abandoned. 3 posts from 2019 and then silence. It takes real discipline to keep publishing when nobody's reading and your posts are showing up on page 10, which is exactly why this gap matters. Blogs and adding fresh content to your site is a widely accepted SEO best practice and has been for many, many years. A customer landing on your profile sees a business that's obviously still operating versus one that might have closed a while ago and never been reported. And now, Ask Maps reads your posts as one of its sources. An empty profile gives that AI less to work with when a customer asks something about you. So back to that pipeline I built at the start. The technique is sound, and it's the reason I built it. Go read your competitors' 1, 2, and 3-star reviews. Whatever customers are complaining about there is what they're anxious about when they call you. Then answer those fears before anyone has to ask. The problem is only where the answers were supposed to go. You can't seed Q&A anymore, but every source covering this change says the same thing. Build that FAQ on your own website instead, because your website is one of the places Ask Maps reads from. So the research is the same, it's just that the destination is different. So here's what actually happened when I ran my pipeline, because it didn't really go the way that most of the advice implies. 24 negative reviews across the top 5 competitors. 21 of them came from one business, a big multi-trade chain. And the 2 grid leaders, 2 between them, and the market's number 1 has none at all. The premise assumes your competitors have complaints piling up, and in this market, the businesses winning actually don't have any. So here's what the thin amount of data produced. 9 recurring objections, but 4 of them aren't really electrician problems at all. Automated phone systems, call center scheduling, per electrician charges. That's indicative of big chain operations and big chain problems, not what a local 2-truck outfit deals with. The 5 that generalize are the ones you'd probably guess. Will you surprise me on price? Will you actually show up? Will you finish the job? Those are worth answering on your website. The rest was noise from one unusual competitor. So where does this leave you? Q&A is gone. If you're following advice that tells you to seed your Q&A, that advice has been stale for most of this year. Posts still work, and probably 4 out of 5 of your competitors have nothing on their profile. And the reason to bother isn't rankings. It's looking like a business that's still open, giving the AI something accurate to read, and helping searchers learn about your business and hopefully become customers. And the bigger shift underneath both of these is that you used to write the answers that customers saw. Now, an AI writes them from your profile, your reviews, and your website. Those three things are the surface that matters now. And that's where it stands today. It'll probably look different in a few months. Reviews are next in the series, the one field where the evidence is actually strong. Subscribe if you want to see how that one lands, and thanks for watching.